Hi, this is the Price Action Analyst. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I saw this today and I just wanted to do a video on it. It's more of an instructional video. And it's about what I noticed with Bitcoin and just kind of how price had acted around this resistance level, which is now support. So this level was painted in before price got here. And so, I'm using the way I identify this resistance or support level is their historical price action. So you look at where this price action, you can see price coming off of it here, anywhere there's like peaks or pivots and wicks, that's kind of initially where I'm looking. This one relates more down here, but like tucked inside that, there's here, and you see price came through and rebounded off here, and then came down to support and up here and rebounded off again, washed at that time and came through, but it touched here again and then down to support and back up again. So that's those kind of lines there, that's what I'm basing the support and resistance level on. And I start with weekly, and then I go to daily, and then sometimes if I need to, I'll go to an hourly chart to do that. So that's how that support resistance line paints in. And here, so this one too, that wick there, I tuck it inside to the next touch. So that's where I actually have my resistance level. With some other obvious ones. So here, you've got a touch here and touch here. This one might even, with that one there, we might even just tuck it to the next. So with this one here, I would just tuck it inside to that one there, and then that would be my resistance level here. So you can see, like, it's obvious that it's around here somewhere. So then moving to current price action. So that this line is marked in here before price action gets up here. But what's interesting is even on the daily, I can see where price, so this is my support level, and then this is what the blue line is, what I call inside resistance. And so you can see price comes down here, washes support, comes back up there, touches support, has a little wick there, moves through, comes back, washes support again, touches it again, and it breaks out of here and touches again. So if you go on the hourly chart, this becomes even more evident. So basically what I'm describing in this video is support and resistance, and then now that this is a support level, what I'm showing you really is the concept of inside resistance that runs off that level, and then there's a trade set up off that. And again, this is getting into like the complicated detail. This is more just kind of instructional in my own curiosity. And so here's the support and resistance line in orange, and here's inside support. So you see it touches and washes and touches here, and there seems to be a barrier, see, and then it breaks out from that barrier, and this came wash support in that, but when it retraces, look, it touches again, again. So you can mark that up as an obvious kind of barrier. And so when the training that I did, what they said ideally is what you're looking for is a breakout of this and a retest, and that's your long entry. So what's interesting here is if you did that here, that trade failed, especially as a short-term trade. You would have had to cut that. That was that big sell-off on Bitcoin. So that big sell-off on Bitcoin is low probability, because this is a very reliable trade here, even though I'm giving you a standout example that didn't work. But when you get this inside resistance area that develops above support, once you have a breakout above it, and you see that as price is retracing, it's being bought up here, but it eventually comes back and tests. So when it breaks out, and you're looking ideally for a breakout with air, which you've got here, it's a fast breakout. It's not just this, it's a definitive break. I mean, this was too, but again, this failed. And so it breaks out here. And then when it retests, you've got previous highs and air and the level itself. This inside resistance is now acting as inside support. And you'll see this structure you can frame up on any different time frame, right? Like, you know, we could mark support and resistance on this hourly and go down to, 5-minute bars or, 500 tick bars. And I could show you that structure with inside that volatility. So it's on all time frames. It's the same repeatable patterns over and over. So anyways, when you get this retest here, you've got all those factors there, and you can already see prices pushed off. But that is, if we were short-term trading, you would have your buy order there and you hit it. So your buy order is sitting there. When price gets down, you're filled. And then you just take whatever heat it gives you and you wait for it to go up. This is a very high probability trade. Again, I'm showing you in the context of one where it failed, but I think that was a low probability event. I think there were, big player games being played there. So what I think you're going to see here is more indicative of that trade. And I expect price to now push off of this. Again, it might not be in a straight line. You might see, a push and a retrace, but I think in the near term, you're going to see price push to this high and then probably push past it. You are going to see weakness around here, but I think Bitcoin is going to make new highs in the near future. And again, I think when I did my projection video on the daily chart, I projected it to the 14,000s. But you'll see, I think there's a good chance when you look back, this will be the start of the move to 14,000. You've had all this activity out here, even had a false breakout, come inside, another breakout and a retest. This is high probability now that price will move off here. So hopefully that works out, because it's not going to look very good if it doesn't. But that was, when I was trained to trade futures, that is a setup that you take without fail. That breakout of inside resistance back to, which is now support, and you hit that long. So again, I think I had I did a short-term and a long-term one. So the optimistic projection off that is to take the entire move, which is here. And I think that's how I projected us up to 14,000. And again, it's not going to do that in a straight line. But here, on this is daily bars again, but here is the trade. You can see it's already pushed off of that reverse anchor and there's air there. So I believe that will be, this area here is going to be the start of the push to get to this resistance level. And again, it's nice when it does it, when it just rockets up. But, I also mean by a push up, that, right? It's not always going to do this. But again, my short-term bias is definitely with what I've just shown here is for price to move away from support now and come up to resistance. And that takes us to 13,134. And then 14 will take us past that. Well, that 14 and change projection will take us past this previous high at, call it 14. So that's where I see the Bitcoin price going. But this is more just an instructional video of how I frame up support and resistance and the kind of things that I see, and the training that I had. And this was a sort of a structured approach to price action. And again, this is nuanced. You don't really need to know this. I did this out of interest. My service isn't such that you need to know this and know that this price is coming off inside support. You'll get a buy recommendation here. Like I would, and I think I'm not putting this out as a buy recommendation. I mean, I maybe could look at that, but all you'll see in nightly update is you'll see a buy recommendation on Bitcoin, and you'll see an ideal range of 11,330 and 11,470. But you don't have to know that. I'm getting paid to look at that for you. But this was that was such a picture perfect example of what I've talked about and the setup for a reverse anchor that I just thought I'd do a video on it. One of the ideas I have is to actually do have a series of instructional videos made like professionally and have it on a website, and then have, access to that for people that want to learn to do this. And just on that note, the thing I've noticed about trading, I haven't had a lot to do with other people, but in sort of the information that I took to learn, I took a lot of different sources. I think you could give the same 5 people the same training material and come back in 5 or 10 years, and they'd all have slightly different methodologies. Like, I think it's very much something that you adapt to yourself. So, for example, with the training I had, it didn't include things like I've sort of added little bits to the approach. So, for example, when I talk about, it's a good example here. Let's say this blue line was support and we'd had a wash here, and I'm waiting for substantial buying. So the trading I had, you'll just hit this trade when price comes down here. But I've now kind of like to, I've developed the approach where I like to wait and see buying pressure myself. I'm not just hitting that trade long there. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. And then, all right, there's a wick or a series of wicks, and then I will mark that as an ideal entry. And as price retraces that zone like it did here, that would be my long trade. And then that's a push out. So it's much safer, because when you enter these trades, for example, and they push against you, well, it sucks, but often you'll be wrong and it'll just push against you. So if I wait to see buying support paid in, I know that when that paints in, the retrace is very likely to push out like it did here. It's just, this isn't support. I'm just assume that it was. So if this was in the right context, I'm waiting for what I've called on my videos substantial buying. So that's kind of something that I've added to what I was taught. But I think, everyone, you can learn, and it's good to get a solid base. I think I did, and it was very hard to find. And like I said, the person I learned off is gone. I don't know what happened to them. But it would be hard now to find, I think, credible stuff. I haven't done a trading course in a long time, but some of the ads that I see on YouTube just look awful. Like the ones with guys flying around in commercial jets and that, like, it's just, I think that stuff, like, I'd be very, very surprised if you gave that person money and then there was a credible trading system to learn behind that. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I know, when I started looking for information 10 years ago, there was, it was hard to find good stuff. It was very hard to find, the person that I did find, and like I say, they're gone now, but it was just luck that I came across it. So, anyways, I'll just leave that there. That's a video on, support and resistance, and then the concept on support, this would be inside resistance, and then on resistance you would have inside support, where price kind of does the opposite. So this might have been inside support on this as price cycled down. Normally when you have more price paint in there, you can see it more clearly, but the same concept is equivalent on the other side. And like I said, I'm just kind of doing these videos out of curiosity now, and maybe later on, there'll be a more professional, like, instructional video off the back of that. But for people that are interested, I just thought I would show you, because that was such a textbook example. Anyways, thanks a lot. I hope you're all well. And I'll see you in the next video.